Chewing and smelling on garbage. By the way, my favorite pastime. But yeah.
And much like dip, you should spit the water, right? You don't swallow the garbage water.
How would that work? Would that give you the same kind of like high? Anyways,
Yeah.
sure.
Go ahead.
But how? Anyways, yeah. It would absolutely lacerate your gums a lot more, so there would be things entering your bloodstream for sure. But no, the first thing that, we had here is something that I'm sure we've talked about before in some fashion, in some way, but it always rears its ugly head, right? So go ahead and take it away on how a socialist who flies a private jet even once should slit their wrists. But go ahead.
The greatest sin imaginable. And a democratic
Spending
socialist
money.
girl, please put some respect on that name. Yeah. So this came across sort of my feed on YouTube, and it upset me because Bernie Sanders sat down with Brett Bayer, I think his name is, of Fox News.
We do respect Bernie for going into the Fox News world, though, right? But go ahead.
He does it often. He's done town halls for Fox News the last 2 times he's run for president, which is very commendable. Certainly don't see Joe Biden doing that. Anyway.
That's my socialist. Yeah, go
ahead. Yeah, essentially the title of the YouTube video was, and I'm blanking
and it's
on
a
it
choice.
now,
the title is a choice in itself, isn't it?
Yes, because it's such a small piece of this interview, and it's right at the end.
I had to go to the end, if you can see, right?
Yes.
Just to freeze the screen on. Yeah.
So obviously this is a little clickbaity on Fox News' part, and it worked. A
little. This man says a little.
But so at the tail end of this interview, Bernie Sanders gets confronted over private jet flights on his Fight Oligarchy tour, as if that was a legitimate means of criticism. I just don't. It's just very frustrating to think that that is a legitimate criticism of him trying to fight oligarchy. Because, like, if you just come at it from a practical aspect, okay, they're doing a lot of they're doing a lot of rallies. They're making a lot of stops, 5 or 6 cities within 1 week, and you're bouncing around sort of the Midwest and the West Coast and the Southeast, because I think they're targeting, quote unquote, like swing states with these rallies.
They went to Idaho. That's crazy. They got some people. Although it's not so
maybe
crazy.
They're targeting chairs. I think they're targeting like specific seats in Congress. But regardless, the only feasible way to move around at that speed is with a private jet, right? A. And B, all of the money that Bernie raises, every single dime is from small dollar donations. He does not use super PACs. He does not solicit corporate donations. And C, you can fly in a private jet and still admonish the oligarchy at the same time, right? Like, that is bananas to me. That one negates the other somehow. But go ahead. I don't know if you want to chime in at all.
I don't even know what to say besides it's like lazy. It's like your lazy counter argument. Although I did not watch this segment because honestly, and nobody listens to us, so whatever. Folks, I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna watch this. I just sped it up and froze it on the pane. Listen, I already know what's gonna be. I'm seeing our boy on here 100 times on like Fox News. So it's I remember when he went to like Bethlehem and did some I don't even remember when that is, but whatever.
PA?
It's just the lazy. It's the super lazy counter argument. I feel like they like feel obligated to put in the counter argument. Like, again, I probably should have watched it, but I feel like they feel obligated to put the counter argument in just because they're like having him on. And I think too, I can't help but think, the only reason Fox News, or maybe it's Bernie who entertained the idea of being on Fox News and accepted it. The only reason it's happening is because Democrats lost in November. It's funny. I was thinking about this when you did share this. In 2020, when he lost the nomination, he supported Biden, right? even though, and think about this, because it happened last November, every time Democrats in their current form lose, he kind of like gains power. Do you agree? So he even backed, yeah, right? So he backed Biden in 2020. And like, I don't know. This is a total tangent, my bad. But I was thinking about this the other day where it's like, he backed someone who, if they lost, his power would have grown. So what does that say about him? What does that say about him now? What does it say about him being in all this stuff for like decades? I feel like it only says good things, but yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I could rip. I mean, it's so easy to understand his surge in popularity post a Democrat loss because how the fuck did you lose to Trump, right? That is a question that all of Democratic leadership needs to ask themselves.
And also, even if your candidate touches milquetoast at all, it's going to be the more non-milquetoast that will feel like they're empowered because like your shit doesn't work. But yeah.
But it's just crazy to me that coming from, and I assume most of the people in this Fox News comment section who's just like, Bernie's a hypocrite. These are all people who are MAGA Trump supporters, I would assume. And Trump's inauguration front row, first two front rows, was full of the...
Oh, they don't care, dog.
Wealthiest billionaires in the United States.
They don't care.
And we're criticizing, and I don't know if you heard the number that they dropped when Brett Bayer's talking to Bernie. He spent, I want to say, I think it was $260,000 on chartering private jets so far for his Fight Oligarchy tour. That is a fucking drop in the bucket to the money that is just big balls swinging between Trump and all of his backers. Like, it's just like crazy to me. And I understand that, it's slanted as a sort of hypocrisy thing, but it's so dumb. Because
Dude, what about the thing that I kind of tossed in there as a thought, which was the whole plane that he's getting gifted from some country today that dropped?
Yeah.
So stupid.
Saudi Arabia.
Man. They don't care. The point is, I'm not going to read it. Who cares? Because you're stitching it in here with the point is like, they don't care about the double standard. It doesn't matter. They're just looking. It's like, oh, we're hosting Bernie. We're probably hosting Bernie because we can feel that he has a little more power, especially post-oligarchy tour, than he would if the Democrats won in November. So we're going to host him. But because we're hosting him, we have to just find that counter-argument. And maybe it says something to the man if your counter-argument is some horse shit that is completely just like, okay, you're worried about this, but there's 100 million things that, like, let's say, quote unquote, your side is doing that you're not worried about. Like, it just speaks to what you care about, and you care about bullshit, So
right, you care about your little moral victories, however you can see them.
Whatever it is that they tell themselves to throw this counter argument in when Trump is accepting a $400 million fucking plane from a country, just like mental gymnastics. But do your thing.
But it's this idea of you have to be an unimpeachable person to stand for anything.
No, it's only
if you're fighting against starvation, but you had a medium-sized lunch, like all of a sudden everything you're saying is meaningless. Like that is not.
It's just because it gets thrown in.
Being hypocrite, is what they're saying. Does it have any merit or not? That is the thing that actually matters.
It's just because these takes that are completely reasonable to objectionable people. I feel like that was too many words, but we're just going to keep going.
Sure.
They just get thrown in these blenders of Fox News or whatever spin just because, like, they have to do that, Like, I could tell you right now, like, children that are in Gaza should not be harmed no matter what's going on. Everybody would agree with that. Except you think they would, and there's actually some people who would actually like somehow be like, I'm upset because I'm pro-Israel. I like,
October
it's just
7th.
like it's just we just get, yeah. But but again, the point, dude. You're such a troll. We love you. We absolutely heart you. But you know what I mean? Like it's like children, and like if we actually talked about children in any given place, you would say like, they should be safe. Like that's not a controversial. But my point is like these things get thrown into a fucking spin blender just because like Bernie gets thrown into the right-wing spin blender. They're going to be like, dude, what do we have to make him look like an idiot. It's like, I got it. Let's do the
It's-
same tired 150 things that right-wing outlets, when they host them, have done 150 times before, which is, oh, man, he takes some planes. He took some planes. That's terrible of him. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, and, I take solace in the fact that most of MAGA would probably agree with a lot of the sentiment Bernie's talking about in this interview, just as far as, like,
if you take
there's way too much
names
big
and
money involved. Politics is corrupt,
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to me that sells with some people. And I think, too, there's a bit of recognition that the idea has merit and it is legitimate, but instead of addressing what he's saying, you pick apart the smallest fucking thing you can so that we don't actually have to have the conversation.
100%.
Let's talk about his private jet flights. Instead of, there is a legitimate oligarchy in this country.
You don't challenge, like, any sort of merits and, like, refute any sort of, like...
Right. Just, if his shit stinks at all, then we get to dismiss everything he's saying. Like, what are we talking about?
I had a couple comments here, too. One of them is Bernie Sanders' net worth is $1.7 million. 50 years working the same job and same job is, but you know what he means. And multiple best-selling books. Also releases his tax information every year. Wouldn't that be great? If all politicians release their tax information for people that hire him to see? Yeah, man. Like,
that is one of the few supporting
the greatest fucking coup that Trump ever won was winning over the anti-establishment sentiment in this day and age, which is the most prevalent one. But, like, being a scumbag and not actually being
as establishment as it gets.
Yeah. Well, not even that. Like, when people say that, I hear people say that, like, certain people that I'll watch say that, and I grade at that a little bit because, like, I don't think that that's the right wording to actually reach someone who still believes he's anti-establishment. You have to say, like, he's just corrupt. I don't know.
He's part of the same system that they're all part of.
No, I know it's not wrong. It's not wrong. I just don't know.
Trump truly was an outsider in 2016, but the second he got in, for him, his only goal was to join the corrupt elite class, not to fucking take them down. I know. He wanted to be part of the fucking club. When you see him getting roasted by Barack Obama at his 2014 White House Correspondents' Dinner or whatever the fuck that was, and you see Trump just stewing, sitting in his seat there.
Yeah, I've seen
like,
that
to me,
times.
That's all that it stems from. There was this big elite club.
All that it's, I don't know about all, but yeah, I hear you. Because he ran for president in 2000, once upon a time, whatever, Reform Party, I don't know. All right, the next comment is, this comment section is so sad. Is clearly pointing out how big money is politics is the course of America. Oh, this is tough English, but
it's a tough comment. Could be English the second
people
language.
only want to point out that he has money. He wants to be taxed more too. There's no, I mean, this person is basically saying, like,
But it's what I'm saying essentially.
Yeah.
This guy is more succinct about it as well. It's
almost like what this person is saying is, like, we should all be on the same page, but we're not, and this country is, like, kind of fucked because of it. It's like you can get a whole bunch of different factions of anti-establishment, and it's not going to be something that unites in a way that could make it a powerful force. It's like, yeah, that's true.
There is a good, legitimate force behind being anti-establishment in this country. Trump is not your guy, if that's truly your position. He's just not. I think Rand Paul would do a better job of being anti-establishment than Donald Trump. You know what I mean?
I agree.
But
Rand
anyways,
Paul
that's a beside.
Still terrible, but there are levels to terrible, and he wouldn't be as terrible of a level, I think. So I think that's correct.
But it's just like, I don't know. I just don't know how Trump, like, can maintain his hold on this crowd that he just does not give a fuck about.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah. So I don't know. I just I watched this video. Got very frustrated. Read the comments. Got even more frustrated.
Bernie should figure it out, and he should not spend money. He should, like that fucking scene in, what am I thinking of? The Da Vinci Code. No, the Da Vinci Code, where the guy's, like, on his knees in front of a cross in his room, and he's whipping his back. Bernie should be, like, paying penance, just
Wow, you went straight for this.
We hope he does.
I was going to say Bernie needs to rectify this and to align himself with his eco-friendly positions. Bernie should walk from town to town that he's doing a rally in. He should just hoof it.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
People
but
also
you
say
just
that's
went
good.
straight to.
Did you know people also said that's good exercise? So there you go. So there's a lot of
There
benefits
you
there.
go. That's
And,
cardio, baby. And he's old.
there
I'm
you
sure
go.
that'd be good for him.
That's cardio, baby.
That's cardio. There was one comment real quick that I have
go
such
ahead.
a
Yeah.
bone to pick with. So during RFK Jr.'s hearing for, whether or not he's
Boy, I didn't watch
sufficient
that,
for his role,
Yeah.
I watched bits and pieces, but he had an exchange with Bernie that just fucking grinded my gears, where RFK just comes out. I don't remember specifically the interaction, but RFK's like, well, you took such and such $1 million from the pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, boy. Wait. RFK says that to Bernie?
To Bernie Sanders.
What?
Right?
Go
So
ahead.
immediately my this shit stinks meter just goes off the charts. And as it comes out, what he was saying, because when you make a political donation, I guess you have to, which I haven't, last time I made a political donation to Bernie was a long time ago. That's the only person I've ever donated to. But you have to.
I'm pretty sure for full clarity, I have done that recently. Go ahead.
Sure. But you have to write down certain information, right? Who do you work for? Blah, blah, blah. Because you're capped at a certain contribution as an individual. So these were people who worked for pharmaceutical companies that had made individual contributions to Bernie's campaign.
Oh, boy. I don't know if that's the same.
As this is the money you get from corporate pharmaceutical America, which is very much not the same fucking thing. Right? And like Bernie's whole thing is he doesn't take corporate money. He doesn't have super PACs. He doesn't have like none of that shit.
1.5 million. 1.7 million? Whatever he's worth. It's probably a couple houses and whatever. But
sure, but I've watched this rumor spread through right-wing comment sections, and it grinds my fucking gears because it's just so fucking misleading. From somebody who, like, whether or not you like his ideas, he is a legitimate dude who doesn't take big money. Like, and he's been consistent about his message for decades. Like, why?
Yeah, I appreciate that across the way, too.
Me.
There's still some people out in media out there who kind of build their own independent voice and don't ever take money. Appreciate in the same way those people too. I don't know. I'm thinking of that. But
sure.
Yeah. That's always like a good thing. It's always or not even a good thing necessarily, but it means like you're getting a more unfiltered view, right? So.
Yeah, I agree. But just the fact that that's like Bernie's whole MO,
we love you,
especially
Bernie.
since Citizens United, and the fact that rumor really grew legs and just like carries such weight, apparently, just fucking kills me. But we can move on.
You ever see like a famous person dying, and then like you'll catch it on the news or you'll see it online where like thousands of people went, and you're just thinking to yourself like, who goes to like a celebrity's funeral? You know, I would go to Bernie's funeral. That announcement drops, and I would, you know, I would tell my husband, I would be like, look, man, like, this might be worth it. There are some times where I have to go make time for something. Like, I might do that. I'll be that person that's at that funeral when a young person watches the news and is like, who the fuck gives a shit about?
And so continues the cycle.
There you go, dude. We're not unlike the people that came before us. Go ahead.
Could I say my 3 that I would go to their funeral, even though I don't know the person?
We love to hear it. Go ahead. Yeah.
So Bernie Sanders already been mentioned. Sir David Attenborough.
Oh, yeah.
Who notably voices like Planet Earth. Fucking love that guy.
Just at Oceans. He's all over the internet because they're about to drop whatever Oceans or whatever. Go ahead.
Dude, he's like 99 still voicing shit. Yeah. God bless him. And Sir Ian McKellan, who famously played Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. Those are the 3.
Is he still alive? Really?
He is still alive.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I'll keep that in mind.
Sorry, that was just an aside.
I'll keep that in mind because
we can push past
the man is from Vermont and still lives in Vermont, I assume. So would get buried in Vermont. So not the farthest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Listen, I'll chill with you. Let's let it rip.
Sure.
God bless.
God bless that man.
Hey, he's running for president in 28 though, so he's alive for at least 8 more years.
First thing that I shared.
Yep.
Top tier garbage. Top U.S. officials emerged from China trade talks touting substantial progress in deal. Dude, obviously all of us know that the tariffs have been and nobody's going to say anyone's manipulating anything, but it definitely feels like through these choppy waters of this administration that they'll announce things just to announce them to see the numbers go up, and then when shit doesn't actually pan out in the way, numbers go down.
1,000%.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
So the first thought I had with this, China thing over the weekend was does anyone trust when they say these things anymore? Even before you look under the hood, I don't. It seems to be that markets still do in a way, because they'll go up and down based on the news. But it is crazy to me that we live in a world where everything you know about the administration or even politics in general in the last 10, 20 years, not just here, but maybe anywhere. Maybe that's, throughout history anyways, but it's you still trust what these people say. You still, I don't know. And when you look under the hood, by the way, they're, it kind of confirms the fears you might have with good news from a certain kind of administration, that there's nothing there. It's just I think I screenshotted something. Hang on. A quote from the article: "The president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs.
Yeah.
And we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners," so the deal they just struck, they said, "will help us resolve work." So that's another step there. They just said they struck a deal to help resolve work. So that's one area they haven't solved yet. So they struck a deal to resolve work towards, so that resolve work is towards resolving that national emergency. So we're here and we made a deal, but we have to resolve work to work towards resolving that national emergency. So
okay, hang on.
I love the idea that we just still live in a society that some people actually trust this. Crazy.
So I'm doing quick, just back of the napkin math, right? So we're resolving work to resolve the national emergency. That's with one country.
But what's the math? Is resolve work 15
countries,
30 days? Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I'll leave.
Well, let's not add that layer, and that might really complex.
Oh boy, it might. But go ahead.
I'm saying however many 180-ish, let's say, countries. So all of them also have to resolve work to resolve the national emergency.
I do think China
said that math.
They have to lift all tariffs to be able to talk. So that's correct, if that's what you mean by that.
Okay, so let me just scratch out this math, because that means tariffs are not getting lifted. But
it's true.
195 countries that need to resolve work to resolve the emergency. That's okay. It's looking rough.
I gotta try to be somewhat serious about this.
Sorry.
There are actual implications, not just to our economy as we joke about the irrational and dumbass decisions that are being made, but actually to Chinese economy too. So there is going to be some sort of push and pull here. It's just, what everyone dogpiles on is the idea that you went after China while alienating literally everyone else as well, which is very stupid. Because the larger market... Oh, go ahead.
I might defend that, actually.
All right, well, let me finish. The larger market and the larger partnership you have that creates a very dollar-wise large market, you can rebuff outside threats more so.
Oh, you're saying from China's perspective.
Correct. Well, no, just in general. Because if you make enemies of everyone, now I'm questioning the way I explained it. If you make enemies of everyone, including the Chinese, they could just reach out to everyone and say, hey, these guys are assholes. Let's try to work against them. But if you take your allies and say, let's try to figure this out and let's try to rebuff this.
Sure.
Right, that's better. All right, go ahead.
Well, to be fair, everybody has 10% tariffs right now, while China has 180.
That is correct.
Right, so that is the more pressing issue, right?
Yeah.
10% is not great, but we can buffer that as far as imports. from everybody else.
Well, it also matters the volume. China's volume is way more than any other country. So
it is a lot, yeah.
Right.
But almost tripling the price of everything is not ideal.
Nobody would say it is. Nobody would say it is.
So
kind of goes back to the point where it's like, who is trusting these people to do this? Who is doing that? And you say like, oh, you can just say that in the abstract. It's not abstract. Who is, because the numbers go up when they announce things. Someone is trusting them. And then,
I agree.
Obviously, they continue to be failed every time, and numbers will eventually go down. But
yeah,
because I just saw today, like, it's whatever it is right now. Who knows? It's 125 or 145.
I'm sure futures are up. Let's see.
I just saw. Well, hang on. I just saw today, like after they announced this, there was a report that Trump would consider 80% tariffs. Look, it's been widely reported by people who actually aren't smooth-brained dumbasses and study this stuff. Anything over 50% is an embargo. It doesn't matter. So if you take it from 145, 125 to 80, it's bullshit. We're not talking about anything. Anything over 50% is an embargo and is going to cut off just stuff because it's just too expensive. So so that's where you just sit there and you question your sanity. Now I don't all the way, but you just do for a second, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Will it really cut off markets? Do you think that's true?
All I can do is read and look.
Well, I'm just thinking like, okay,
anybody who says they read, take with a truckload of salt, including me. But I do feel like I've read, especially with the kind of work that I do, certain things from professionals that are trustworthy. That just make it seem like anything 50%. Once you get to 50%, it's just too expensive. It's just too expensive. It doesn't.
It is
fit.
very expensive.
It doesn't fit, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
But I do think that that would still price in a lot of the cheap goods that U.S. consumers buy from China. You know what I mean? Like everything at the Dollar Tree is now, the $2.50 tree. People are still shopping there. I don't think those things can still be made cheaper in the U.S. at that point.
I agree with you in the sense that, like, we're at a point where economies are large and all economies just work with each other, even if you put tariffs on them. So eventually, if these tariffs stayed the exact way they are, things would settle back in the sense that there'd be a lot less available, but there would still be available, but just more expensive. So it would work itself out. It just takes time. Because businesses want certainty, right? So once they have certainty, they can price it. Even if the certainty is all of a sudden 150% tariffs, and that's what it is, if they can grab that certainty, they're going to have to figure it out. And again, there'd be mass devastation if you stayed at 150. That's ridiculous. Like, that's an embargo.
That is basically an embargo, yeah.
But putting all that aside, they just want certainty so they can figure out where the line is. So the devastation would not necessarily be at the Dollar Tree in the sense that they would go out of business, but maybe they'd have less stores, and in the stores they would have the $3 tree, right? So
right. And yeah, it does feel like, I don't know if it's Trump himself or people around him, but it does feel like they're aware of the shit that they say and how much it moves the markets, particularly Trump on Truth Social. Apparently that's just like God's honest
I'm not going to say that anybody is intentionally pumping and dumping, but I do think that there's enough people that get that are smooth brain, fucking scummy ass people that just get access to Trump's decisions that are doing it on the side. Of course there are. It's like, this man has been convicted of fraud in a civil court. He just has been. And so, like, what do you think is happening? I'm not saying with Trump himself. I'm not even saying that. Although his crypto coin is enough to be like, what a scum-ass piece of shit. But let's put that to the side. There are people around him somehow getting access, you and me both know it, that are just trading on it. Dude, and by the way, these things are data controlled. Just like CoffeeZilla can go, like, look at crypto ledgers, which is super nice and helpful for investigative work. There are things called options that are traded, and you can see a spike in like weird behavior in options right before something will happen that's a windfall. And you can say, like, that's suspicious. And that shit continues to happen over and over again in this fucking Trump era. So there's actual data. I don't know. I don't collect it, but I do see enough of things that, like, there supposedly is actual data behind, like, this option got weirdly traded and then...
Yeah. It's funny too because there's just a million things that precede like the shit going on that have let us know that his party will never hold him accountable. They'll never do it. So it's funny to see the flagrant shit. And I know that's a bit of an aside, but dude, the $40 million jet from Saudi Arabia, $400 million, right? Yeah. Like that's fine.
Or it's Qatar, not Saudi Arabia.
It's
regardless. All bad stuff. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, they're never gonna hold him accountable. So it's crazy to see the shit that's just like gets accepted as just, you know, the nature of doing political business for his fucking group of cronies.
Just does what he wants, man.
Yeah,
does what he wants.
I think Jared Kushner was smart. He did his first 4 years in the more respectable Trump presidency, solicited $1 billion investment from the Saudi oil fund, and then he peaced out. And him and Ivanka haven't touched this White House at all. They fucking made big when the money was cleaner, and now they're just out of the game.
Yeah, they don't care.
They're clearing out.
They got like $2 billion liquid cash from the fucking Saudis.
That's shit that just gets wiped under the carpet. Like, if I were to go to somebody who's MAGA tomorrow, and I could because I work with a good deal of them, and I were to bring up Jared Kushner and his $1 billion investment after Jared Kushner had worked inside the White House somewhat as an embassy to Saudi Arabia and had solicited $1 billion investment after he got out for his hedge fund group, they would have no fucking clue what I'm talking about.
Brother, this is why me and you get so frustrated with the Democratic Party, because all of this shit exists. That's not even the smallest of it. That's just one part of it, and you still lose. So that's what's scary.
You still lose. Yeah.
It's scary. It's like, okay, they can just gaslight their fucking people into still having enough emotion, feeling strong enough to vote for something. Because not everybody votes. You have to have a strong enough emotion to vote for something. And just fucking beats the sensible. And I'm not even trying to say liberals are sensible, but like compared to MAGA, are you fucking serious? Like the sensible, go ahead.
Under the Trump presidency, you could have beat up a cop in the rotunda and be voting in a federal election 6 years later. That's America for you, baby.
Dude, I saw a fucking headline the other day that it was a January 6th pardoner killed. Oh, did we talk about this?
Yes, we killed someone. I don't know if we talked it on the pod, but we did talk about it.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, and he was a January 6th.
Anyways.
It's great. We love it, dude.
To kind of roll into the next one real quick. Political dogma. Dogma's the word of the week here. And political dogma seems to be MAGA. I didn't know what that definition was, but it's basically like, hey, we don't need proof. It's just something that is true, period. Yeah. It just is true. Yeah. But yeah, the last thing I had is kind of like a ridiculous headline of the week. Chess banned in Afghanistan due to religious restrictions, which...
Yeah, I did see this.
Religion is such a cancer to freedom. You know what I'm saying? It's always like... societies that have such a cultural influence day to day in something that is so controlling that you just like, that's where you get like the dumbest fucking headlines. You're just like, what is it's like chess is banned, like why? It's so dumb.
So I think, did you read, I think it's because they consider it
intellectual. Dude, it's...
No, I don't think that's what it was.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So, opposition to various forms of entertainment and sports. Okay. So not because it's intellectual, because it's entertainment. It's a distraction from...
From what, dude?
Islam or...
It's just a reminder of...
Allah or whatever it is.
It's just a reminder of the variety of cultures and societies you can still get, man, to where, like... What are people supposed to do? Like, sit on their knees and worship all day, and then like, I've been deployed to this country myself, so they get on their knees, worship all day, and then they go to their little potties that are in the ground, which are weird, but they are. That's it. That's all they do all day. Makes no sense. Kind of
it's well, I mean, let's be clear, right? Like Puritanism, exists in Judaism, it exists in Christianity, like
Yeah, it's just all restricting freedom. Just all like the idea of restricting freedom.
It's interesting because it feels like, I don't know, like constantly in the States at least, there is a battle between like secularism and a secular state and like theocracy, but like that's a conversation where it feels like that conversation's kind of lost in many Middle Eastern countries, like between Islamism and like having a secular state. Like notoriously Turkey was officially a secular state, and then Erdogan, I don't even remember when he gained power, like 15 years ago, has slowly just eroded. And Turkey was kind of one of the secular states that was in the Middle East, and that's kind of like now being walked back. So, yeah, I don't know.
Because
It's just interesting to see how
they
these
can use it
things
for their
manifest.
benefit to keep power. I haven't even looked into that, but I'm sure.
Well,
That's
sure.
what that
I mean,
means.
it all comes down to
like
authoritarianism.
Right, but what do they crave? What do authoritarians crave? They crave the idea that like you can tell people this is how it is and how you should be without having to give them proof at all.
Yes.
And they just kind of
control the
just
social order.
blindly follow. Right. This is why any sort of ideology or society that follows evidence and proof is going to have a heavier burden. Just always, because you have to actually have that evidence and proof, as opposed to just hey, you guys, this is right, this is wrong, and everyone's like, oh, and the seals clap. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to right.
Yeah,
things
absolutely
that take
right.
effort and time and sucks.
And research and figuring out and
sucks, but it is what it is. And I think we talk 100 million times about what the future looks like between us on this garbage ass thing and other things that we've done. And unless you can grapple with somehow getting people to respect other people's freedoms, and selling that and keeping that sold, I just don't know how. Let's get dark. You ready to get dark? I don't know how humanity doesn't devolve into destroying itself.
Hey, listen, that's always been a possibility.
But I've procreated. Don't blame me. Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, way to contribute.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Another soldier for the trenches in the climate wars. We appreciate your sacrifice.
And listen, he looks to be pretty athletic, so you're welcome, trenches. You're welcome.
There we go. He's going to be a sergeant, at least, for sure. He's going to do great.
Wow.
Storming the beaches of Ontario.
Just not sure how smart he'll be, but he'll contribute. Wow. Maybe as a blood donor sack. Oh, that's terrible. Go ahead.
Jesus. I think with any luck, none of your genes will have passed on, and just your partner. So he might be smart. He may yet be an intelligent person.
Yeah, it's not looking good for me as far as trying to be smart with the people around me day in and day out. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I can't help but sympathize with everything you're saying here. I mean, to me, it's regardless of what the source is. I don't care what it is. Any theocracy is and ought to be frowned upon, because we know that that's not how an ideal world works. Because everybody wants to be in a theocracy until the theocracy you live under is not the religion that you're part of.
But why do you know that? It's because you
disaster.
appreciate the idea that people can have a variety of beliefs, and you respect that as long as it's not bothersome. But that's not a thing across, right?
But you can be a minority anywhere.
I do.
That can always happen.
Don't even get me started, bro.
I know.
It is the bane of my existence, and probably every human being's existence, to think that like the way that I think, it's so simple, and everyone else must think that way. How could they not? But they just don't, man.
Right.
They just don't.
But if I were to grab that theocratic supporting Christian, God bless America man from Kentucky, now we're to throw him into Iraq and tell him, do you now advocate for a theocratic system? I know what his answer is, and that's what frustrates me.
Yes. Well, and what that speaks to is a lack of perspective. I think
Sure.
a lot of people end up where they end up, not because they're bad people, but because they literally lack the idea that other perspectives can be a part of their decision making, and they only consider not
Because I know my
necessarily
truth
only
is the
theirs, but
truth.
only their idea of a perspective.
My ideas are the correct ones. So why wouldn't I want everybody to be part of that?
Well, I mean,
And
I
like,
still
yeah,
feel like people
theocratic
like
in the
me and you
Middle
feel that
East,
to a
they're
certain extent
Muslims, so
too.
they're wrong.
Well, hang on. I still feel like me and you feel like that to a certain extent too, where our ideas are the right ones. It's more that like they don't even entertain the idea that people can have other ones. Where I always do. I'm always thinking of like.
Sure, but I also don't want to live in a society where my idea is implemented, not selected. You know what I mean? I feel like that's also the key difference.
That goes along. Yes,
I don't
of
live in a
course.
society where a gun is held to your head because Chad thinks such and such about the world.
Right.
That is not the world I want to live in.
No, right.
So we all know what that leads to.
I have to tape that to mind to edit out the fact that you just said honestly, it's a really ugly name, but you said it. And hey, we hope.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We hope.
My bad.
We hope people in Afghanistan can play chess again soon. Because
we sure do. You know, we hope with the advent of modern technology, they can play chess nonetheless without any bother.
That's true, dude. Someday, you do have to. You do have to think to yourself, like, and look, is it a mark of privilege to be able to do that? Sure, it still is, no matter what country or society you're talking about. But still, you do have to think that there's some people that get around this in some way because the internet's a thing, and like. In the same breath that the internet is frustrating and might be the downfall of society, it's liberating to a lot of society too. Like, two things can always be true because there's so many different things you're considering and you're talking about in societies and cultures. Yeah.
I do want you to imagine for a moment, though. You know, considering
JD Vance
what we just
bans porn. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Considering like the access of chess electronically. In the opposite of that, imagine like driving home late one night coming from a friend's house and you get pulled over by a cop and you're very nervous. Not because you're drunk or you're high or you're or whatever, but because there's a chess set in your backseat. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a world I want to live in.
No, it doesn't quite translate to Afghanistan that people are just driving in cars and would get pulled over. But your point stands where it's like, no, your point stands where it's like, imagine living in a society where like you love chess, but you have to like act like you're a criminal because of chess. That's so stupid.
Like, I feel like if anywhere in this country you were to tell someone you love chess, at the least they're gonna respect you for like being intelligent. But at the most, they're just gonna be like, "Oh, you're kind of a geek."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of a nerd.
And I think me and you also have always been libertarians in the sense that, like, if you're trying to ban things that objectively just, like, don't harm anyone, you always have an agenda.
I'm grinding my teeth.
Of course, dude. You always have an agenda. Like, it's just so stupid. It doesn't actually accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, like, at all. It's just so dumb, man.
Banning any of the non-violent offenses. Curious. For sure.
Makes no sense.
Is that what the term is? You know what I mean. Where the only person you're affecting is either yourself or consensual people. What are we upset about here?
Yeah.
What are we upset about?
And we could have a long discussion about like what meets that criteria. It's comical that chess would be banned, and somehow
chess
you have
is
to, like,
so far from that conversation.
Yeah.
You're right.
Jake, you guys can't play checkers anymore. It's like, what? We can't play checkers? Why? Because red and black represents hell, and you guys are gonna go to hell. It's just like, what?
Hey man, Google about the Puritans that came to the U.S. as early settlers. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot.
I would learn a lot, and I want to advocate for a lifestyle that, and this is controversial, only exists with evidence and proof, and only exists in reality. No other ways of existing are allowed. I want to be an advocate for that.
There we go. God
I want
bless.
people to think about that. I want people to think about how red and black.
Oh wait,
checkers players don't represent hell. You know.
Did we want to do the Trump's Truth Social thing? Oh, his very first one is.
Give me one and we'll wrap up.
Well, it's talking about the 747, so let's not watch that.
I don't want to watch another video. He reposts too much stuff. Give me an actual.
It's crazy how much.
At Rio.
Oh, here we go. Are we about to give credit to Donald Trump on this podcast? Here we go. You ready? It's a long one.
Oh, the prescription drugs one? Again.
Yeah.
This goes back to me saying, do you actually trust him when he says stuff like this?
Spoilers, dude. I haven't read it yet. But you're not wrong for asking that question.
Go ahead and read it.
Let's just say he's going to reduce prescription drugs in this price by ordering U.S. pharmaceutical companies to charge prices in the U.S. that are the cheapest as far as prices they charge.
So when price controls happen barely in a mild way, when Democrats do it, we lose our minds. But when Trump does it, it's fine.
Pretty crazy. That's actually very.
Is that what I'm saying?
That's very intrusive on the free market model. So that's interesting.
So now we like government. We like government setting prices. Is that what we're saying? Because I want the government to set the food price then. Because I am a communist. All right. So do the thing. Do the fucking thing. Central planning.
That is central planning.
Everything's central planning.
Needs a little bit central planning. That's interesting.
Anyways, yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we can leave it at that. God bless.
Because sometimes
Donald Trump is a communist confirmed.
Yeah.
Sure.